So it is, little one, good news. It's graduation time. All right. You each one are getting ready to graduate into a different level of reality, but also a different level of emotionality. At first, the ego will miss it. It will miss that part of self that perhaps reactionary or perhaps is responsible for a lot of excitement, or the part of the ego that holds things off, that holds things down so that you don't allow yourself to feel the full intensity. That's the one we want to work with. We want the little ones to begin to feel the full intensity of their aliveness, and therefore there are a lot of experiences that are happening around the planet of Earth in which you can get yourself emotionally reactionary, which is fine as long as you're not attached. You can be there. You don't have to be attached to the outcome, though, but you can definitely have your enthusiasm and use your emotionality like a great big steamroller to move into what it is that is needed in the moment, so that you can have enough information and enough enthusiasm, so that this world becomes like one of those snow globes. You know those little globes where you pick it up and you wiggle it and it has snow in it, and it little bit camouflages whatever was in the middle, but you can still see it quite clearly. And yet the storm that is happening is contained. It's within the see-through glass. It is able to be seen from almost 360 angles, all right? So to give yourself permission to lift up over what is happening in your world, perhaps something is frightening, or perhaps something is irritating, all those aspects of being on the planet that the emotionality and the ego have been able to chew on. You know, it's like a little dog with a little bone. You know, it's like a chew on it and let it go. And then, oh yes, my bone, I have to go back to my bone. And it's a stability portion of the world where one has an ego that has a certain attachment or a certain direction that it puts its information, intention into. So the focus for which the ego is in each one's life, you came in with it. All right. So you have a tendency, and little by little, you can peel away what it is on the surface that you're looking at that has a core in it. All right. So it's not that an apple has a core, and you can peel it round and round and round. Onion does not have a core. Celery, it has a very juicy little piece in the center where you'd like to get to it. Anything that you can peel down, so you get artichoke, yes, so you can get to what it is that tastes the best. It doesn't have any prickers in it, and it doesn't have any surprises in it. You can sit back and enjoy it. So that's where to go now, all right, in this life cycle. Realize that the storybook has been open for a long time. Each country, each continent has its own story. It has its own past. It has its own history, so to speak. But it also has its own natural resources and its own natural tendencies, which it lends itself to for the personality and the physicality and the mentality of the people that inhabit. So New Zealand has very special habitat. It's quite pristine, quite raw, quite vital. It has its own way in which it will move and perpetuate itself, and it's been less interfered with than the rest of the planet for the most part, except, you know, in the jungle, etc. But you can give yourself over to your natural world and just talk to it and say, and through that, through the natural world, your vibration or your roses, whatever, or your vegetable, it goes while it's still in the ground. That vibration goes right back into the earth, and that vibration into the earth goes to the Mother Earth. It goes to the vibratory core, and it goes to the crystalline structure of the planet. And so that's a very subtle way for one to interact with the planet. But the gratitude is usually quite useful as well. When you say thank you for whatever it is the earth has produced, then you have within you a true connection, because in gratitude there are no other intervening feelings. If you're truly in gratitude, you are totally connected to what it is you are grateful for that particular moment in time. And that is a focused moment. So you're looking for, in the life cycle, focused moments where you're not distracted, where you don't have something that's lurking around the periphery of your eyesight, or lurking around in your heart, or something that's underlyingly grinding, or something that a fear that has been perpetuated over many, many life cycles. And that fear, of course, of loss and the fear of death are part of the human structure, right? So because you know that, because when you think about something that is quite threatening, your body will become weak, perhaps in the elbows or the knees, etc. Those pivotal points where it is that your extremities are connected to the reality in which you reside. So giving yourself permission to have enthusiasm, yes, but not attached to the outcome, is a practice. It's a way in which you can be in the world and not of it, and you can begin to recognize where it is that you have been putting your focus and decide, is that where I still want to put my focus? Is that still what's capturing my attention? That happens often, doesn't it? To be something out of the corner of the eye, or something you hear, or something that you're remembering that is capturing the attention of the little one. So in being captured, this does not feel good, right? So if you were captured, you would not be happy with that, except if it happened to be a very special situation, captured, yes? So you want to make sure that your attention is something that you are overseeing, all right? So you oversee the attention. It doesn't mean you're going to be able to pick it out every single time if it goes in a direction that you're not wanting it to go into, but it does mean that you're going to be able to perceive where it is that you have rested your attention, even if it's only momentary. And so because it appears that the reality is moving quite quickly at this time, it's really about the amount of ability that the human has to scoot their attention around on the plane, all right? So remember we used to talk about living on the horizontal, living on the vertical, you know? So that living on the horizontal, it has bumps and grinds in it. You know, it has ways in which you trip over a stone, or you have to go in and out of doorways, or you have to walk around a corner. So the horizontal has a few places where it is that you have to not be able to direct your attention and go straight for it. You have to bend a little bit. It's a little bit like watching from the air, the flight plans of different air equipment, and the air equipment has to go around imaginary stops in the sky because there is a flight plan that is overseeing everyone interacting together. So that's how God is. Has a flight plan and has a way in which each one may have to stop once in a while, might have to back up, might have to take attention to what it is that's exactly going on and not be upset about it. All right, just notice that there is a type of guidance, and GPS is something that talks to the human at this point because it can spot from a satellite a trajectory. And so just take that and know that that is the God aspect of each and every one that has the ability to be guided by a trajectory. So you have to take your attention and put it where you want it and follow that. If there are distractions in the meantime, you notice the distraction. You can qualify it or make it quantitatively aware, make yourself quantitatively aware, and then move with awareness, all right? So being pure, uncharged, unchallenged awareness is part of the evolutionary process. So that's what you're doing. You're bringing your attention to where exactly you want it. However, when you look at what it is you want, and it turns out to be something third dimensional or something quite challenging or something that's very repetitious, you want to back up again and look and see, is this the truth? Is this the whole? Is this the most encompassing trajectory or viewpoint that I could have? So you want something to be encapsulated, a lot like the snowstorm in the snow globe. You want your world to have parameters to it so that you can feel when it is you're off center, or when it is that you've gone beyond the level that you want to go with certain things. So these are reminders that there are things going on the physical plane that have what we call game plan, lots of game plans going on. And that's because the human comes and goes. It has a life cycle, lasts 100 years. And the memory pattern of the unaware human is one life cycle long. So they don't have within them a remembering a place that says to them, watch out for this, that's really, that you can be really cognizant of, that you can grasp hold of. But you do have suspicions. So when it is that there is something suspect, it means that you're not accepting it totally, that it's bumping into your belief systems, and that's good information. It's a good place to back up to and say, all right, there's a lot of substance here. It may not be in the physical world substance, but there are those parts of each one's world that have parameters, perceptions, that are keyed into the physical world. It's like if you see that something is, of course, across this road and you want to get to it, all right, it's across the road. The trajectory is to go where you want to go. But you need to be able to have your peripheral vision so that you're not going to bump into a car, so that you're not going to have a particular experience on the road that has a pothole in it or something you want to jump over. So your peripheral vision is to be expanded but softened, all right? So soft eyes. Your peripheral hearing, we've said this before, to expand it means that you have to soften it. And so when you're keying into one particular thing all the time, it makes a focus pattern that is hard to let go of. So you want to practice from time to time. Soft eyes, soft ears, of course, soft heart, and a soft sense of your connection. So your snow globe, basically, you can see through it and you could tap on it, but you can't pass through it in the third dimension. But you can on the mental level. So there are many things that if you're remote viewing them, yes, that you can see from a larger perspective and therefore avoid the bombardment or the bumps that are in the way or the possibilities that are perhaps on the negative side of what you're looking to do, but also going to hamper your ability. So if there's a brick wall in the way, but you can see that there's a pathway, if you're looking from a higher perspective, you move up to the higher perspective, you see, oh yes, I can't go straight to it, I have to go around it. So that's what's happening on the planet of Earth. Because of the convoluted ancient society intervention on the planet, which has to do with control and fear of being confined, the ancient civilizations that were able to fly and you zoom around in their little Merkaba spaceship, they didn't have a problem with getting where they needed to go as much as they were encountering the other beings. They could notice that there were problems as they brought their dimensions down. So it's very wise that once you get your dimensional Geiger, it's not a Geiger, GPS, however you call that, in motion, that you keep relying on it. Yes, your GPS, not necessarily the one in the car, but your own GPS, and you keep relying on it. And you rely on yourself and rely on yourself and rely on yourself, and don't give way to what it is that you have tested, tried and true in the past, and you know inside yourself, this is not where I want to go. This is not what I want to focus on. So what we're saying here is that this is a particular time when all of the convoluted and involuted plans of attack or plans of holding patterns, etc., are being exposed, and one has to go high enough, far enough, detached enough in order to spot them. Otherwise, you're going to be bumping into your own old patterns, which are connected to the limitations of the physical plans that were set in place yesterday. If you set in place yesterday that you are going to drive to the North Island, so to speak, and then you recognize, oh, there's a big earthquake in between, you better change your mind. So you have that. You have that ability to change your mind, but you do it from a larger perspective. We can't say how important that is for you right now. We only can say it over and over again, because that part of yourself that is intuitive, that part of yourself, the heart, this heart-centered place, is very much a guiding force, but it has power in it, and it has power to navigate the third dimension, and it has power to change the third dimension. You've read many things about manifesting what we call reality, manifest your reality. Remember, all it takes is one split second of intense, focused moment of your heart, mind, soul, and your emotions into a space so that you can feel it, see it, hear it, taste it, and touch it in the minute to change the reality as it unfolds, which appears in what you think of as the future. You're in charge of that. not completely in charge because the evolutionary patterns dictate something else right now, but you're moving into it. All right, so that was good to talk. Yes, we can talk to you and tell you those things so that we can encourage you to stay positive. That's one thing about it, but stay with what you really know. So many different factors they're moving around, and people have information, and there'll be lots of little, in the game, lots of little places to trip you up. And so if you had risen up high enough and you could see it, you would be able to avoid a lot of the feelings or a lot of the bumps that are in the road. We like that word today, bumps in the road, because that's how it is. One is going forward, or they're going backward, and bump in the road is noticeable, no matter how small it is. And sometimes if someone is fearful and that bump or that pothole in the road is not avoided, it causes accidental invitation into momentary freezing, or break the axle on the car, or use yourself in a different way. So give yourself permission to be really awake and know that everything that is happening on the planet of Earth is in divine order now. All right, so that's what